Good morning. You are welcome to another edition of Import Export Platform Facebook Live from 3 Best Trade Academy. My name is Dele Ayimibo, and we'll continue from where we stopped yesterday, discussing the planning. Remember, we are still looking at starting and managing export business, and we are looking at part 18. And today's part 18, we are looking at good agricultural practice. That's under planning. Good agricultural practice. Under planning, we'll be discussing different things that in planning for export, the things you must put in place. We've talked about quality management. We've talked about legal standard. We've talked about consumer standard. We've talked about industry standard. We've talked about international standard. And this morning, that's all under quality management. And this morning, we are looking at the good agricultural practice. Good agricultural practice are basic food safety principles associated with minimizing biological, chemical, and physical hazard from the field through the distribution of fruits and vegetables, such that as you distribute fruits, vegetables, and other food items, we're able to minimize contamination as a result of biological hazard, chemical hazard, and physical hazard. Now, these principles are covered through some guidelines. The guidelines that actually guide individuals producing foods, vegetables, different food items. From this point now, we are looking at from the field, that's in the farm. One of the things being often considered is site selection. The selection of sites should be such that the environment, especially the adjacent use of the land, is not such that it produces stuff that can come and contaminate what you're producing where you are. Then the water being used also is very important, especially if you have to do irrigation. What kind of water are you using? And then the fertilizer. What type of fertilizer is being used? The pesticide. What type is being used and how is it being applied? Water hygiene, to ensure that the source of water is clean enough to be able to ensure that at the end of the day, the people buying this product are buying safe food. Field and facility sanitation, cleanliness of the field and the environment. Then for movement of the goods from one point to the other, a cold chain or cooling transportation system will make a lot of sense, because that will help reasonably to prevent a situation in which the goods are harvested in good condition, but in transporting from one point to the other, it get destroyed, it get damaged. Although these are only guidelines, importers are also asking their developing country supplier questions about this issue, and this could be the first stage of a potential change in the operational standard for developing country. Knowing developing country for who they are, these standards we talk about are really major concern from the developed country, and because it's a major concern from developed country, they tend to force it down the throat of developing country. If they are your market and they are the one that will buy the product, you can likewise do their bidding. There are some of these tariffs that they impose on us, non-tariff barriers actually. And the strategy is to ensure that at the end of the day, you don't come and take away the market from their country, but rather you are able to contribute significantly their own quota to the economy, but don't take away the market. Not take away the market. They are very keen about the market, so sometimes they impose different non-tariff barriers that might hinder African developing countries to be able to take advantage of those markets. Good manufacturing practices direct all persons working with contact with food, services, and food packaging material to conform to the sanitation and hygiene practices to the extent necessary to protect against the contamination of food from direct and indirect sources. In many developed countries, the expectation that the processor will apply good agricultural practice is widely accepted, but there are also more specific rules for exporters wanting to enter more developed markets, such as those of high-risk processes of uncooked meat, low-acid canned food, which help to avoid botulism and asparagus. So the idea is to ensure you have the right manufacturing practice, and the idea of manufacturing practice is to ensure that there is repeatability, there is reliability, such that consistently you will constantly and regularly produce the right product. Constantly and regularly produce the right product, given all the circumstances and situation in the factory being okay. Talking about good agricultural practices, we'll then now go into processing. We'll go into processing, and our first call in processing is the Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point, called HACCP. HACCP is a system developed in the US that helps small-scale manufacturer, large-scale manufacturer to be able to sell conveniently good product without stress. To be able to sell conveniently good product without stress. Stress of contamination, without stress of contamination, without stress of letting product with defect go into the market, and also help to detect the issue before they happen, and when they detected, how to ensure those are corrected. This is a very important process, very, very important one, very, very important in the sense that very, very important in the sense that it protects against shipping out bad quality product. It is a process control system designed to identify and prevent microbial and other hazards in food production. It prevents microbial and other hazards in food production. There are different hazards in food production. There is biological hazard, otherwise called pathogen. There is physical hazard like sand. There is chemical hazard like salt and flavor. There is allergen hazard like pepper, hot pepper. And these are that poses potential danger. These hazards pose potential danger. But the good thing is, a system has now been developed to prevent these hazards from occurring. And this system is called the critical analysis, hazard analysis and critical control point. No, let's stay here. Hazard analysis and critical control point. Hazard analysis and critical control point. It includes steps designed to prevent problems before they occur and to correct deviation as soon as detected. So look at HACCP, what it does. Number one is designed to prevent microbial and other hazards in the production of food. That's one. So it prevents issues in production of food. But more importantly, it prevents problem before they occur and help in correcting the same problem. Prevent problem before they occur and correct that problem. It prevents problem before they occur and correct the problem. And this is very important. Very, very important and very crucial. Because sometimes people don't even know that there's a problem in their production process until they have issues on the field, and then there is now a need for recall. Until they have issue on the field, and then there's an issue, a reason for recall. But the idea of HACCP is to ensure that you don't even have that issue in the first place. And if you have that issue, it should not get into commerce. It should not get into the market. So it's to prevent it from happening, to correct, and to ensure that at the end of the day, the product that get into the market are good products. Such preventive control system with documentation and verification are widely recognized by specific authorities and international organizations as the most effective approach available for producing safe food. Remember, this approach prevents biological contamination like bacteria, virus, pathogens generally, prevent physical contamination, prevent chemical contamination, and lastly, allergen. So can we go through this HACCP process? Number one is conduct a hazard analysis. So I'll run through them, then we'll take it one by one. Conduct a hazard analysis. Imagine the process of production from beginning to the end. Where can hazard occur? Analyze the production process. Determine the critical control point. Control point is the point where the hazard could occur. Having broken down the production into phases, then we want to know where the hazard could occur. And this occurs more often than not from moving from one medium to the other. Then establish critical limit. Number one, determine the critical point it can occur. Number two, establish limit. What do I mean by this? Okay, let me explain later. I'm getting ahead of myself. Establish monitoring procedure. Establish corrective action. Establish verification procedure. Establish record keeping and documentation procedure. Establish record keeping and documentation procedure. Number one, conduct hazard analysis. Conduct hazard analysis. You need to determine the safety hazard, the food safety hazard, identify preventive measures to be used to control this hazard. So it's like saying, I'm going to produce a particular product. What could go wrong and where can it go wrong? So for example, let's say we are doing fish processing. What are the things that could go wrong in fish processing? And where exactly can this issue happen? Hazard analysis. E.g., in fish processing, contamination with salt, excessive salt, contamination with excessive spices, What could go wrong? Where can it go wrong? And how do we fix it? Number 2, identify the critical control point. And this is a point or step or procedure in a food process at which control can be applied, and as a result, a food safety hazard can be presented, can be eliminated, prevented, eliminated, or reduced to an acceptable level. Now, this could happen from the time period between when completion happened and washing and cleaning before the dry fish, before drying the fish rather in the oven. Remember, we're using fish as an example. You have identified the problem or where the problems are. Then we must know the limit. Critical limit, for example, from the time the fish is washed to the time it's put into the oven, how long is it? That is a point where we cannot even say that. I mean, if you're not able to identify the fact that something will go wrong from when the fish is has been washed till when you put it inside the oven, then that become a problem. Because at the point of other analysis, that should have been identified. That in the course of processing this food item, what could go wrong, where can it go wrong? And now we're talking about the critical limit in the sense that how long should you leave the fish out of water after cleaning before drying? Because if you stay for a while, it might start decaying. Remember, the fish is dead. There's no life in the fish again. It might start decaying. So that means you are going to measure time. So if fish come out, someone is measuring the time from when it comes out till when it gets into the oven. Now, when it enter into the oven also, we are measuring the temperature of the oven. We are also measuring the time it will take to dry it in the oven. Establish critical limit. Establish critical control point monitoring requirement. Monitoring activity are necessary to ensure that the process is under control at each critical control point, and the monitoring procedure and its efficiency are to be listed in the HACCP plan. So there is a plan for the HACCP itself. It might be in measuring, like when we're talking about establishing critical limit. Remember, critical limit is the maximum or minimum value to which a physical, biological, or chemical hazard must be controlled at a critical control point to prevent, eliminate, or reduce to an acceptable level. Eliminate or reduce to an acceptable level. Now, how are you going to measure it? Is it going to be visual examination? Is it going to be measuring of the temperature with a thermometer? Or using a timer to time it? You also need to consider what is being monitored, how it's being monitored, and who is doing the monitoring. Because the person must be trained to be sure he knows exactly what he is doing and more importantly, the implication of what he is doing. Establish corrective action. These are actions to be taken when monitoring indicates a deviation from an established critical limit. The final rule requires a planned HACCP plan to identify the corrective action to be taken if a critical limit is not met. Corrective actions are intended to ensure that no injurious product enter into commerce. E.g., if fish was left for more than the required period, you know that it will have started decaying. And if you not dry a fish that's already decaying, that will not be too bad for the health. Establish corrective action. Establish procedure for verifying ASOP system to verify that it's working as planned. Validation ensure that the plan do what they are designed to do. That is, they are successful in ensuring the production of safe product. Verification procedure may include such activity as review of ASOP plan, critical control point, critical limit, microbial sampling and analysis of the fish in the laboratory. So here we are looking at verifying the ASOP plan, checking out that what we have put down is working as planned, reviewing it from time to time and checking the record, checking the limit, checking different things, just basically reviewing the production process from time to time. And lastly, establish record keeping procedure. ASOP regulation requires that all plants of manufacturing plants maintain certain documents, including its hazard analysis and written ASOP plan, and record documenting the monitoring of the critical control limit. So it helps to, in this case, rather, we are checking the record of the critical control point, the record of the critical limit, the record of verification activities, handling of the processing, and how do we handle deviation. It's like documenting every activity in the factory. Now, why are we discussing this? We are basically going into processing of food. And we are doing this basically to ensure that individual, because when people process food, they don't even know what the ASOP is. They just process in their kitchen. The whole idea is, even if you can't implement the full ASOP plan, you can begin to put record in place, monitor the way you go about your production, just to ensure that you do not sell product that will eventually become food poisoning or even put you into trouble because of the quality of the item you're producing. And that's the objective here. That's the objective here. I will continue the processing in the evening. Thank you very much for listening. Remember, my name is Dele Ayimibo. Help us share this video with other people, friends and colleagues and allies who you think might be interested in this particular program. Thank you very much. Have a great day at work, and bye for now.